Did you grow up in Canada? Were you alive in the 90s? Did you love YTV? Yeah, you did. Greetings, everybody on the interwebs. It is your old pal Ryan. It has been about a minute since we've done an episode of live broadcast, but we are back, and this time it's personal because tonight I not only have a YTV legend, as usual, each and every one of our guests are near and dear to your hearts. It's like putting on an old sweater that still fits, making you feel good, making you feel all good inside to revisit that amazing time in a Canadian television. And just to say, I work a lot of Comic Cons and conventions, and it's lovely every time I run into one of you who knows who the heck I am. It makes my entire day, and I have some pretty fun days, but it's definitely the highlight of each and every one of them. So it's been a minute, but here we are, and we have a brand new batch of episodes we're going to be doing, and I would like to introduce you to not only a talented actor but a friend. Ladies and gentlemen, from Big Wolf on Campus, you've seen him on Are You Afraid of the Dark? You've seen him on Letterkenny. This is Domenic Rosa. How you doing, Dom? Come on in.
Mr. Ryan, how are you, sir? Good?
I'm good, man. I'm good. And there's some people hanging out. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Melissa Gill, yo, what's going on?
Hello, everyone.
Oh, and a big shout out, by the way, because PJ Freshville, he's not newly married. I believe he was married last year, but still new in a sense where when we talk about 25-year-old shows, new comparatively. So, yeah. So, Dom, I got to say, Big Wolf on Campus was on television when I was a teenager trying to be an adult, when I should have stayed home and continued to play Nintendo 64. I was out in the world, man, starting a band, trying to drink beer wherever I could find it. But meanwhile, this charming show called Big Wolf on Campus was being produced right here. And I've been watching it for the last 2 days in preparation. And I got to say, there is such a charm to it. There is amongst the cast, there's a chemistry. There's a reason why the show lasted 3 years. There's a reason why, for a Canadian run, to have 22 episodes per season is actually impressive. Because usually they try to produce a little less. But it was incredible. It was a great show. And your character, I thought, okay, so he plays one of the bully types. Maybe he'll be in there a bit. As episodes would go on and on and on, your character would just do more and more and more. It wasn't enough that you were a bully; you had to be cannon fodder for the for the werewolf's friend defending superpowers. Dom, tell me about how Big Wolf on Campus came into your life.
Well, yeah. Well, first I'll just pop this up here. One of the scripts from Big Wolf, "Blame It on the Haim," and season 2 with another Canadian celebrity, Mr. Corey Haim.
My God.
Yeah.
See, I didn't even get to see that part yet. I was binge watching season 1.
Yeah, you'll see it. So how it came about? I got a phone call one day for an audition for Big Wolf on Campus, and it was actually to play the brother by Mr. Jack Mosshammer, who actually graced the role. So I went and did the audition, and I did the best that I could with it because I was still very, very green in the business, just starting out. So my first audition prior to that one was for Barney's Big Adventure. So that was my second audition ever as a professional actor, was for Big Wolf. So I did the audition and...
Wait, Barney's Big Adventure, did you audition as Barney, as one of the kids who lip sync? Like, what would that have been? What did you attempt?
For a strongman at the circus.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, this whole physique. Yeah, I was there like, yeah, that's right, dynamite. No, but I didn't get it, so it's okay, it's fine. So we did the audition for the brother, and then I went home, and forgot about it because whatever. You don't at that point you don't get your hopes up too much on auditions because it was my second one. My dad was like, "It's okay, don't worry about it. There'll be other ones." I'm like, "Okay." So then I was swimming in my parents' pool. It was about a month later, and I got a phone call. My dad called me out, and he said, "Phone's for you. There's a gentleman on the other line. His name is Rich Eustace." And I'm like, "I don't know any Rich Eustace." And so I got out of the pool, went to go see him, and I got onto the line, and he's like, "Hi, Domenic. It's Rich Eustace." I'm like, "Yep." He goes, "I'm a producer for Big Wolf on Campus." I'm like, yep, yeah, sir. Yes, how are you? He's like, yeah, yeah, minutes, come see me today around 2:30. I'm like, I will be there. Not a problem. So we went over to the studio. It was on right off the 40 at that point. I don't know. It's now
Mm.
it's I don't know if you know where used to be what was the name of it again? Linguini's. I don't know if you remember that place off the 40. It was
No, not really.
right after St. Anne de Bellevue.
But that's a
Um,
very interesting setup here. It's just
yeah,
like maybe in an Italian restaurant
yeah,
and come alone.
like I'm alone. So I showed
Yeah.
up and I went in and we just talked. He asked me to do a Joe Pesci impression because I had done one years ago. I don't know how he understood the Joe Pesci impression. So I did it for him. We're not going to revisit that right now, not yet. Maybe on another podcast, another episode, we'll do the Joe Pesci. And he said, "Okay, well, thanks a lot." He goes, "We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming in." I don't know who Rich Eustace was, so then I looked him up. He was actually one of the creators of Head of the Class. On a film that
Okay.
showed, yeah. And
Wow.
we that was it. I went home, and then 2 weeks later, I got a phone call, and yeah, you got the job. You'll be playing Tim Eckert, half of TNT, the twin bullies of the school. I'm
Wow.
like, okay. And then school's in. That was my school. That was where I learned how to look at the camera, how to for pace, for timing, because I had no idea what I was doing. I never went to drama school at all. I
Hmm.
took it in school, and that was it. I never did professional theater courses or that at that point. So that was my schooling, was Big Wolf on campus, and it was one of the best experiences I had. It's going to be 25 years coming up in since its first release in 1999. It was April 2nd, 1999. So 2024, April 2nd,
Wow.
25th anniversary of Big Wolf, and
Wait,
yeah,
wait. What date?
April 2nd,
Wow.
1999 was the original release
Yeah.
uh, on Fox Family Channel, and then April 2nd, 2024 will be the 25th anniversary of B-Walk. Yes, sir.
B-walk. I've never heard that
B-Walk.
expression
Yeah, you
before.
never heard that?
Is that what
That's the
is that what
hashtag.
you
That's what the young kids are saying nowadays. B-Walk. Let's see.
I was gonna say, did you guys call it like B-walk when you're on the set or anything like that?
No, we
Or
just
like
call it, no, we just call it Big Wolf. That was the
okay. But what's kind of interesting is like the animosity you showed on screen towards Tommy, right? Correct.
yes.
Once again, this series is very new to me, and I'm letting it all sink in. Um, it's I'm a take me behind the scenes. Like, what was your relationship like off camera? Because on camera, you're kind of there to give him something kind of to fight or to to be defensive or protective and take him out of that douchebag football player and into the reluctant anti-hero that we all know and love.
Yeah.
What
You know,
what was off camera? What was that like?
everybody was friends. We were all good friends off camera, and we hung out, and we'd go to dinners, and we'd have drinks, and prepare for the next day because it was like filming 5 days a week. It was a full
Yeah.
time job. There was no day off. It was the weekend the day off.
No.
Friday we were at the studio or on location filming, and it was quite fun because we were all initially everybody's real first big gig was Big Wolf on campus. That was there.
Wow.
Rob DeLeo, my brother, Brandon Quinn, and Danny Smith and Rachel Lefebvre. Like it was our first big experience. So we were all like young and our novice, in the business as well. Everyone has done their own individual things. Like Danny was, it was a bit more versed, I think, than everybody else. He had done a few other projects prior to Big Wolf.
Yeah,
Rob,
and he sings the theme song, right?
yes, he did. He wrote that.
Wow.
I recall he wrote that in like an hour. It was,
Really?
hey, you want to write a theme? Sure. He did it on the evening, and then the next day, it was. And you think about, I used to own this town. Now it's turned. It's like it's a catchy tune.
It is a catchy tune. At first, I was kind of like, I don't know if I like this song because I'm thinking werewolves, and I'm like, I've been binge watching Buffy, and I'm like, where's
Yeah.
all the spooky crap, man? But then as I watch the show, I'm like, oh no, I completely get it. It's like this show is like literally for kids 12 and under, and we don't want to scare the crap out of anybody. So if you kind of make your theme song too scary, then you're kind of, you're scaring away potential people who can enjoy this harmless show, essentially. Like,
Yeah,
the horror themes were there, but they weren't ever terrifying, except when Victoria Sanchez was turning everybody into stone as Medusa. I've
that was
seen
a
that
cool episode.
episode.
Yeah, that was a cool
That was a
episode.
cool episode.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And I got to meet all. I mean, meeting Victoria for the first time too, and then flash forward all these years later, we're still friends.
Yeah.
And it's she's an amazing
Sharing a
actress.
very cool, sharing a
Very
very
cool
cool,
agent.
amazing agent.
Yes, yes. If you're watching,
Yeah.
Sandy, hello.
Oh yeah. If
Yes, yes.
Sandy, Sandy, if you're watching, you made a good choice out of the two of us. I'm guessing you made a good choice, but you're also kind and you believe in people, and I don't know. Sandy Martinez is amazing. Everybody, best agent in the city, hands down.
This agent, very
Incredible.
caring and attentive to her clients, because we're not just clients, we're all family. I mean, in the end,
Yeah.
we have. I think our MCM group is a very tight knit group as well, and full of cool people. All
I was at a Christmas party last year of that agency, and I was just blown away by how just a collection of amazing people in one room. Just I don't know, it was awesome. I'll
mm,
never forget it. I was just kind of like, what am I doing here? but
we'll
now,
we'll have another one
I
this year.
can. Yeah, there.
There we
Anyway,
go.
so Dom, this show, it's on for 3 years.
Yes.
That's an incredible feat for any actor in this.
Mm,
Every time you get a job, it's essentially starting from scratch. It's
yes.
a lot of actors can't just walk in a room and be like, "I'm Tom Cruise, give me money." It's
Mm,
a lot of times it's auditioning for the first time. It's that same kind of insecurity, self doubt, whatever. But you were telling me, like, what do you think making it is? You're telling me something beautiful, and I want
yes.
you to tell the people.
I will repeat. I will like. Well, this is my personal. Like I said, it's my personal view. I
Mm,
get asked a lot. Have you made it? What is making it to you? To anybody who wants to be an artist or anybody, making it is not the Hollywood Walk of Fame, the star, the statues, the awards. That's all gravy. That's all bonus. You audition, you keep going back, you keep doing it for that one yes, and when that one yes comes in, and you go to your first costume fitting, and you're looking at your script, and you sit in that chair and your makeup and hair, and then you walk into the set, and the lights are on and in your face. Hey, for me, you've made it. You wanted to be an artist, you wanted to be a performer. It doesn't matter if it's on TV, on radio, in any walk of the entertainment business. If you get to do what you love to do, you have made it, and that should be enough at that point. Everything else above and beyond that is just icing on the cake, just icing on the cake. And you try and grow, and you try and do as much as you can, because I always say it's not a race, it's a marathon. I mean, and with the actor strike just in the US, it was a very long summer for a lot of people up here. I mean, not a lot of people, every performer that's in the arts for television and movies, even commercials. It was a very long summer, and I'm happy that they ratified the agreement, came to a tentative agreement, and things are getting back to normal slowly and surely. But you still that hope of that shimmering hope of, yeah, we're gonna start. It's starting. Auditions gonna start rolling in. Just getting auditions exciting. You
yeah.
know.
But if there's a silver lining to any of this,
Yeah.
is that I think during the pandemic, a lot of musicians who couldn't tour could actually sit at home and kind of write music properly for the first time
Of course.
again
Of
since the
course.
beginning of their career, where they had years to write songs. And the same thing happened where a lot of artists did a lot of stuff when they had to slow down and think about it. So
Mm,
perhaps with this strike, perhaps some of the writers thought of some really cool final drafts.
of
Perhaps
course.
some of the actors could just sit back and say, okay, if they were feeling a little jaded by the process, now they're hungry to jump back into that audition room and get that yes or that no. But, just that little break that sometimes we all need.
Of
So
course, of
I
course,
don't
you
know.
can
Who knows?
overwork yourself, oversaturate with you're
Mm,
rushing to finish writing stuff. Like I
yeah.
took time over the summer to do a lot of writing myself, just to keep the creative flow. Like I'm trying to develop a TV series as well, a comedy, a sitcom, and
Really?
yeah, I'm working on that.
Yeah.
I mean, as I also work in the airline industry. I don't just work
Mhm.
as a, I'm not just an actor. I was, but then the strike hit, and we have bills like everybody else. And I went to go work for at the airport, and I'm a passenger service agent there, and I help people on off the planes, and that's what gave me an idea for a show while I was working.
Awesome, man.
You know, so I'm working on that, and let's hope one day it'll come to light, and there'll be another Canadian show that can be done, produced in house in Canada, and give another beacon of light to the profound Canadian talent that's out there. I mean, there's
Well,
so much out
I met an American yesterday that actually asked me if Canadians celebrate Halloween. So clearly, the Canadians have not hit the popular zeitgeist enough in a way to show that North America is eerily similar uh, on, on a large front. However, we do have some really, truly incredible Canadian exports, including the Trailer Park Boys and Letterkenny, which I want to ask you about
there.
a
Yes, yes,
little later on. Right now, we're still in that
fine,
big wolf mode
no
because
problem.
I want to acknowledge someone they're asking, "Where's your twin?" Well, I think
Rob's
they
in
use the
Toronto.
term twin loosely.
Uh, Rob's in
Tell me
Toronto.
about that relationship between, out of all the actors you ever did, I don't believe you ever appeared on screen without your brother. How was your working relationship?
Rob and I hit it off right away. I mean, I met him for
Yeah.
the first time, and he's like, "Dom." I'm like, "Rob." He's like, "Brother, brother." And we rehearsed night and day to get our routine down as a TNT duo. And I mean, he taught me a lot in the first season, with comedic timing and how to fine tune certain things, and like where I was lacking, he gave me help. I mean, where we worked off each other. And then when it came time for the second season, he said, "Well, you've learned because now you're teaching me the comedic timing, and you're teaching me the new things, and you're coming up with the jokes, and you're coming up with that." We would go off script a lot. That was the
Okay.
the fun part of Big Wolf, was they gave us a bit of creative freedom. Peter Knight was was the head writer. He's also one of the creators of the show. Um,
Hmm.
Chris Briggs. They gave us a lot of freedom with our lines that we can play around with it or add stuff in. So it was really cool for that to have that green light to do those things. But Rob and I, we hit it off well, and he'll always be my brother from another mother for sure. As long as we have graced this earth, and he's doing okay for himself. He's working at the Tribro Studios in Toronto, as far as
Okay.
I knew or know for now on. But he's also had a very good career as an actor. He's done a lot of great stuff over the years, and yeah, I'm proud to still call him family for sure, always will.
Cody, if you're referring to Big Wolf on Campus of where you can watch it, it used to be on this wonderful YouTube page called Encore Plus, and they were amazing. They had shows like Student Bodies on there. I believe they're not a page anymore, but there are people who have a Big Wolf on Campus YouTube page, and every single episode I believe is uploaded there, and that's where I was watching them. And yeah, it's a trip to kind of see that stuff. And at the same time, like you look at it, you look at the special effects, you look at Canadian television 90s budgeted special effects, and how ambitious it was. When you really think about a werewolf transformation,
Mm,
Rick Baker or anybody else could tell you the painstaking process of of a werewolf transformation, how long it takes. I mean, I'm guessing those days, especially what they made you and your pseudo brother do. Every time you appeared on screen, you were either in a cast or you were like, had different types of outfits. You would do different things. Seems like even a scene relatively seems small. I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh, that is a
mm.
full day for sure,
Yeah.
possibly 2 days per gag. Is
Yes.
there any scene like that that stands out to you that particularly took a long time?
Uh,
That
Wrestling scenes were very, very long. There were, the first wrestling. We had two different wrestling montages. The first one was done in like the cafeteria of the school against Swamp Thing,
okay?
and that was yeah, that
I
was
remember that one.
that was more subdued compared to the second one. And on that one, I mean, Rob and I, I did 99% of we did all of our stunt work. Jay Lavallee was our stunt guy. He was also a
Mm,
stunt guy stunt performer for Kevin Farley on Misguided Angels, which
okay.
was filming right next to us. And but he was there only for the real like specifics. But other than that, Rob and I did our own thing. So we would like jump and fall. And at one point, I jumped up in the air and I landed on my knees on the mat. The mat was about yay thick, and I felt the
Yeah.
shock go through my
Oh
thighs
no.
up the top. And I was like, "Oh, are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm fine. I'm good. I'm good." But we got
Yeah.
up, we dusted it off, and continued going. On the second wrestling one, we wrestled in an actual ring, which was a trip because I mean, if you watch WWF, not WWE, like I was a big wrestling fan growing up, still am, and it was a trip to be in the same ring they use when the wrestling would come to town. So it was very
Yeah.
springy, very nice, and we were wrestling Doctor Doom, and he kicked our ass. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it hurt. It hurt a lot. Like those chops, like that's not fake. That's real, real. That's yeah, that hurts. Yeah. But we learned a lot about wrestling that day. But it was cool.
Oh
It
yeah.
was cool.
Yeah, it's funny when people say wrestling is fake. I'm like, well, so is Shakespeare to a certain extent, but or so is Evil Knievel, or just any type of action show that you're watching, even
Mhm.
if it's a monster truck show. Like, okay, yeah, this is the part where this comes and crushes. Yeah, the monster truck comes and crushes the car. You still got to do it. And
Yeah.
you still feel it, and you still fall off things, and you still land somewhere, even if you're intending to pretend that the person landed on you, they're still jumping off of a ladder. Now,
Yeah.
I walked up some stairs slightly fast earlier today, and and was shocked by how winded I was, and it really made me think and appreciate all the athletes that put their lives on the line for the mereness of our entertainment. Now,
Exactly.
did you actually ever get hurt on set doing all this crazy stuff
Only
besides what you just told me?
yeah, I did. I mean, I hurt my back. It only came out a bit years later. I ended up getting that was from the wrestling. I got a chop
Mm,
across the chest, and I went
mm,
back on the ropes, and all I heard was, and I was like, oh my lord. But you know, not a big deal. It ends up Doctor Apocalypse. Someone wrote that. Yes,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Doctor Apocalypse, not Doctor Doom. It was 25 years ago. You have to forgive me. I may forget some names here and there, but yeah, from that chop, I ended up hurting my back. But I mean, it's okay.
Who played Doctor Apocalypse? I saw
His
the
name was
thumbnail.
Ron the Doorman. That was his wrestling name. Ron the Doorman Trottier.
Okay,
Yeah,
the doorman.
the
Okay,
Doorman. That was his
okay.
ring name. Doorman Trottier. Yeah.
Wow.
And, yeah, it was a cool cat. It was fun. It was. I mean, it's great. I look back on all the different episodes, and I look at them like, did you know like the werewolf makeup took 3 hours to
That's
put
what I
on?
was saying. I'm just like 3 hours
Yeah,
is nothing to scoff at. That's like an extended Lord of the Rings cut. And if you're ever in a movie theater and you're like, oh god, this 3 hour movie is really long. Imagine all you're doing is sitting there to only start your day afterwards.
yeah.
Like that's incredible.
I mean, one
But
episode we had to do pretend we had lice and we shaved our heads, so they put bald caps on us, and that took like close to 3 hours to put the bald cap on. You know, just for it was for one day. You know,
yeah,
take it
yeah,
off, and that was it. Like, but yeah, the special effects back then. I mean, Twins Effects, Mr. Eric Gosselin. Then it was Life Maker Effects. After he was a master of his craft. Yeah, I
yeah.
worked with him over the years, and he's fantastic. Like what he creates. So,
Yeah. I love werewolves. I think out of all the universal monsters, my favorite, well, besides Dracula, of course, is the werewolf, I guess. Because Frankenstein's so beloved, I'm like, yo, someone's gotta give love to the Wolfman. But also at the same time, I think werewolves have when you think of all the werewolf movies ever made, they either have the highest success rate of the special effects
mm,
that's the price to pay of having a fancy camera, kids. Anyway, or it has the shockingly terrible fate of having bad special effects that can just bury a Wolfman movie.
mm,
Like everything else could be amazing, but I saw like kind of an evolution of the makeup. Like I read somewhere that it was supposed to be even crazier, but he had an allergic reaction to
He did,
the
yeah, yeah. Well, in the first initial makeup, like when you see in the first episodes, that makeup that he has,
yeah, he looks like
that's
me about
major.
6 months into COVID. That's what I look like, but
Yeah, he had a bad allergic reaction to it, so they modified it to just the pointy ears stayed, and then elongated the eyebrows, and just they modified his nose and had the mustache and everything else. I mean, it's still like it came across fine,
yeah,
The hands and feet, it was the foam rubber hands they would put on him, but
yeah,
it
yeah,
played well. Listen, it's the '90s
yeah.
for the
But that's what
for
I'm
the budget
saying.
we had, yeah,
I know what a Canadian budget is, especially when you're making 22 episodes a year.
mm,
Like you see all these shows right now that have like they look incredible, but there's 8 episodes. Like imagine two and a half times, like two and a half times the same budget, except stretched two and a half times more episodes.
yeah. Well,
Like
it aired in the U.S.
20,
first. It was an American show to begin with. It was for Fox Family Channel.
but it was shot
Originally,
here though.
it was shot
Yeah, but
here. It aired in the
yeah,
States first, and then it aired in Canada.
hmm. It's
Yeah.
kind of interesting, huh? Like all of our exports, including even Ryan Reynolds, Justin Bieber, you name it. Like you got to go to America to kind of like be a big deal before you come back and be a big deal here. Like I don't understand why we're not more good at celebrating our own, or even Are You Afraid of the Dark? It was dicey to even get it in Canada to begin with, but it was produced here. It
Yeah.
was originally supposed it was a Nickelodeon show. That's incredible. Dom, as we bring up, the relationship of you and your brother, TNT represent, was it always did you go in there knowing that you would be like a regular on the show, like that you'd be in a pretty much a lot, almost every episode?
No.
Did you know that going in, or was it supposed to be kind of a one-off? Because it seemed that way, that you're just going to be the one-note bullies and that's it when the show first began.
Um, I knew when I got the contract, they said a reoccurring, and I was like, okay. And then I got the cast list, and I was number 4 on the cast list. Like, for and no one, and anyone who doesn't know what for the cast, the numbering, I'm usually numbers 1 to single digits. We'll put it that way. As usually the main
Mm,
cast, and then
yeah.
as it higher progresses to whatever number it goes to. So when I saw number 4, I'm like, okay, I don't know what that meant at the time either, but they're like, "No, no, you're part of the main cast." Oh, okay, cool. But the 2 stars, I mean, of the show were Danny and Brandon. That was like hands down.
Cool.
Those are the dynamic duo, the Batman and Robin of the
Yeah.
Big Wolf saga. So I mean, we were just a comedy relief. Big dumb jocks who haven't graduated high school, been there for 7 years. That was what was thrown at us.
Okay, that would make sense because you guys like we're joking about 90210 before we went live, where
Uh,
when you look at actual teenagers compared to what we thought teenagers look like in the movie
yeah.
Grease, or even in the 90s, I think you'd have to like cast much older parents and much older brothers to make your stars who were in their 20s look like teenagers, essentially.
I mean, I
Yeah.
was 18 when I did Big Wolf.
You look younger now. Okay? I'm going to
Well,
tell you right now. You look
this isn't
younger now.
Botox. This is all natural. And if he's
Yeah.
watching Mike Farkas, the Fark
Yeah.
man, I'll be
Amazing
honest with
Mike.
you. 2 years ago, I weighed almost 400 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've lost 155 pounds in the last 2 years, essentially for health. And I was like, "Oh, did you do it for acting?" I said, "No, I did it to survive and live because I was uh, just out of shape. Really, it got out of hand. COVID didn't help either. The
Mm.
home being sedentary, not moving, and this and that. But since I'm actually thinner now than I was on Big Wolf, which is
Well,
surprising
that's
for
what I
me.
was going to say. You're also on Are You Afraid of the Dark too, also playing a jock bully.
Yes,
Seemed
yeah,
like that your first couple of roles. Dom,
yeah.
I've hung out with you a bunch in person. I've never once had the idea that you were like, mean and tough enough to fight a werewolf, but apparently you were. And but sorry, take me back to Are You Afraid of the Dark? I know there's not a lot of talking in it or whatever, but your
No,
presence is known. You worked with Andrew Walker from
Andrew Walker.
Radioactive,
Yes, sir.
and Andrew Walker, the king of Hallmark movies and
Dude, walk
Canadian,
himself down. Yeah, he's
Christmas
in touch.
movies. But tell me about working on Are You Afraid of the Dark? Because that's
That was
usually everyone's first
quite an
job.
interesting audition, actually. Quite an interesting audition.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
walked the room, the role of Bucky. Okay. No, I was actually Moose. Sorry, the role of Moose.
Moose. Yeah.
moose. And
Yeah.
I walked to the room. They're like, bark like a dog. I'm like, excuse me? They're like, bark like a dog. I said, okay, what kind of dog? They're like, a big dog. So I barked like a dog.
Okay.
They're like, okay, like walk and pretend like you're listening to somebody and then bark like a dog. I'm like, okay. So that's exactly what I did. And I left. And the next
And
day,
that's how your Joe Pesci impression was developed.
yeah,
Just kidding. Anyway.
you want to hear it, don't you?
Yes, I do.
No, well, I said, we see, got middle of the week laying down. This guy comes in, this and that, all kinds of things coming over. I wish it was big just once. I haven't done it in a while, so I was like, it might be a little shaky. Frankie, was he shaking? Might be a little,
It was good.
it's
It
good.
was good. It
Know, eh,
was good.
this and that. But yeah.
Your De Niro's amazing too, actually.
And when you lose the
Okay,
weight,
so
the nose gets elongated. Yeah, a little bit.
yeah. All right, so you're barking away. You're
Barking
barking
away.
up the right tree. You're barking up the right tree because you got this audition and stuff.
Yeah.
So you get on set and they're like, okay, action and be horrible to this young girl who's
Just be
who's
mean.
uh,
Just be mean.
who's
And we did.
vulnerable and thinks this handsome jock guy gave her a secret admirer note, and instead of politely saying, "Oh, it's not," "Oh, you have something mistaken." Three grown men laugh at this young girl. Please, okay, please continue.
Yes. It was, yeah, that's pretty much it. I was sitting there with Andrew and we were discussing the scene, and
Yeah.
the last shot of the day was the last scene. We
Wow.
did we did in 3 takes that whole scene,
Okay.
and that was it. We sat around all day, and they
Yeah.
brought us in because a lot of it, I mean, when you're filming, a lot of it's waiting around, waiting for your time,
Of course.
and if you want to talk about later on for like on my Transformers stints, yeah, there's a lot of waiting around but that's the joy about being an actor. I love being on set. I don't care if I'm there 20 hours. I never get bored. I like to watch what's the magic that's going on with everything. That's
Yeah.
the beauty. And when someone's working in a regular job, after 8 hours, they're like, I'm out. I'm going home. That's it. I've
Yeah.
had it.
Yeah.
But being on a set, I don't get tired of it.
Me
Never.
neither. Every time I've ever been on a set for whether if it's a few days, a few hours, whatever, it's like discovering Narnia again.
Yeah, exactly.
You know. Yeah. Yeah.
How things are
Without
created.
any without Aslan death. It was like just all the good fun stuff about Narnia.
Yeah.
I just feel like I'm just visiting an adventure, and I've never been jaded about it. Like everybody out there, it's been a minute since we've done a show, but if you want to see yours truly have a very interesting scene in the film To Catch a Killer, you could check that on Netflix. I'll come in about an hour and 10 minutes in, I'd say.
You did a great job.
And I have long brown hair, and it was a very lucrative experience because I do some really strange stuff in it. Anyway, let's just say that I'm not the killer I'm not the killer they catch, but I definitely meet my maker in an interesting way. Let's just say that. Yeah.
I enjoyed your performance. I thought it was great.
Thank you. But I was looking at the company I was keeping in the movie. I'm like, hey, maybe I deserve to die. So that's pretty cool. Okay. So dude, you're not just a one note villain in this show or one note bully or whatever. As eventually, like friendships are formed. I find they really evolved your characters. Was it ever when did it decide to do that? When did it decide that okay, these guys can't just be the problem; they can be part of the fun?
Well, I mean, the first season was all like with the bullies, Da, da, da.
Mhm.
Second scene, the series, and they started having a bit more bringing us a bit more, giving us a bit more sub story, like that's the A story and then the B story, as was put. So we're giving us B story, a little sideline.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in the third season, Rob left. He left the show, for whatever reason he did. So I was solo. So a lot of my a lot of
Okay. Wow. I'm not in the third season. This is
Oh,
fascinating.
see, when you get to the third season,
Ooh.
there's no more TNT. It's just T.
Okay.
He's alone and he's got to
Yeah.
adapt by himself.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Wow. Was that a good or a bad thing for you though?
Yeah, it was odd. I mean, I only out of the third season, I did 8 episodes in the third season.
That's nothing to sneeze at, okay? You
No,
didn't,
it's
like,
great.
go up
I
to
loved it.
you didn't go up to your bedroom and never be brought up again like a forgotten Winslow child on Family,
No,
Matters.
no, but they used me very well. I mean, the character. I mean, there was an episode called Insipid, and a boy band came to town, and I was their bodyguard.
Okay.
I had all these like little cool scenes. Or at one point, Merton had a talk show, and I was also the bodyguard in the talk show. Uh,
Okay.
and then there was a bully that came to town. Bucky comes to town, and we had like this on the waterfront kind of relationship between him and I. Like, what are you doing here? Oh, I'm here. Well, I can see that. Like, it was like,
Mm.
so
I
they
could have
used
been a
me.
contender.
Should have
Instead,
put some
I'm a
money.
bum.
So they used my character in that way, and I was very grateful. Even like Auntie Claus is coming to town was a Christmas episode we did, and
Oh, cool.
since my name was Tim, I got it started to snow, and I'm like, snow, Merry Christmas, everyone. Being Tim, I get to say that line, which was cool,
Mm.
and
Not so Tiny Tim, I like it.
exactly, not so
Or
tiny,
Tiny Tim and a Little John type of way where,
pretty much.
the Robin Hood one, not the okay, not that guy.
John Lovitz, yes. But it was very very cool. I'll always be grateful for that show because it really got me my start in the business, and it was my school. It taught me everything. And
I like how you're a switchblade of talent. You keep pulling out all these voices and stuff like that. I'm like, I've talked to you like for 9 hours. I mean, never brought up the voices once. It's kind of
oh,
funny. You just have this like utility belt of talent that you know you're
you
you're
know,
you're an onion, but you don't stink. I just keep pulling back all the layers.
I have fun with that at the airport when I try to, like, I want to call people sometime over the intercom, like as Kermit the
Yeah.
Frog. Oh, here we are. Yes, flight 456. Like, just to freak people out a little bit, but they frown upon that over there. It's not really professional. So, but
No.
I have a good time with it. It's fun. It keeps people entertained. I like to entertain the passengers. I go onto the plane. I give them a little happiness before they take off on their vacation. So keeps my keeps me quick, keeps my stuff sharp, ready to go.
If anybody has any questions for Dominic here about specifically Big Wolf on campus, please write them in the comments and we will get to them. But in the meantime, I'm going to ask you, every show comes to an end eventually. You said you're
Mm,
only there for about 8 episodes that last season, but still 8 episodes is more episodes of anything I've done if you add them all together. So good for you.
thank you.
Um, it must be a bummer to know a season comes to an end, but from what I've heard from the student bias people and radioactive and everything, Canada usually only does produce about 60 something episodes, enough for syndication, and then they kind of just pull the plug. Was that the case in this one too?
Pretty much. In total, there was, I think it was 64 episodes. Like, we just made it in, like, past the 60
Mhm.
episodes. We almost didn't do the third season because, I mean, after the first season was big
God.
budget.
Oh,
Let's put it on the line, make it a big splash, good impression, and it was like, private drivers and the whole bit. And like by season 3, I was driving myself, and they were paying my kilometers, but that's okay. It was all cool. And then the second season, they brought the budget down. There was a lot of guest stars. I mean, Patrick McKenna, Graham Greene, Corey Haim, Corey Feldman. There was a lot of people that would come do the show.
let's talk about Corey Haim there, man. Sorry, don't skate over that. Okay, before we talk about the ending of the show, just you brought up Corey Haim, and it's an authentic way to bring it up. Before we get all sad, let's get all glad and talk about Corey Haim.
It
What
was
was that?
it was cool to meet him because, I mean, Lost Boys, come on,
Yeah, of
License to
course.
Drive,
Yeah,
classics for me. I mean,
yeah,
growing up, these were the things that I watched, and
yeah.
meeting him, I thought he was taller. To be quite honest, I thought he was taller when I first met him. He was shorter than I was, and I was like, I thought you were taller, but it was cool just the same to meet him. And we had a meeting prior to him coming onto the show, and they're like, Corey Haim's doing the show. He's coming back. He's making a comeback. It's great, And then when we met him, he was pretty down to earth, He wasn't all Hollywood on us, like, oh, I'm better than you. But no, he was straightforward. He hung out with us. We had a good time, and we went out for drinks, dinner, and it was great memories with him. Corey Feldman as well did the third season. He did one episode. I
Really?
wasn't in that episode. Yeah, I got to meet him as well, and just encountering these people that you've watched when you were, I want to be an actor, I want to be in films, and then you work with them later on, is a gift. It's just that's like I said, you've Well, how do you know by making it? Well, you get these opportunities and you meet these people and your colleagues and you work with them and you share screen time. It's great. It's euphoric. That's Christmas. That's Christmas for an actor. Getting to do that's our Christmas. Getting to do all these different roles with people and expanding our art and yeah. So
All I've ever wanted to do was something so cool that 25 years after the fact, some sketchy guy who still bleaches his hair will call me up and say, "Let's talk about it on the internet." Or that's and I think it's a beautiful thing. Melissa, my darling, I've been with for about 13 years. She was Morgan on Radioactive, and she's absolutely awesome. But it's still cool. Like, to her, it's like, oh yeah, yeah, it's a thing. And every time someone remembers that, that's great. But I'm like, but to me, I'm just like, you don't understand. You were in the television, and and you were on YTV. Like, that's crazy. So I had never seen her show back in the day. Like,
mm.
and I mean this authentically. The same thing kind of happened with Big Wolf. Every time there was a goofy guy with spiky hair, as a goofy guy with spiky hair in real life, I was like, hey, I find that offensive. We are not that silly. Now, if you don't mind, I'm gonna go jump around on a table and do a funny dance now in real life for some reason. But that's what happened. Every time someone had a punky, spiky hair or something on television, I was like, that's not what it's like. And then I'd go act exactly like them. But what we were saying is that the party does have to end, and
Yeah.
you kind of know you're heading to the. Was it a bittersweet ending? Were people ready to move on? Were you ready to move on?
Yes and no. I mean, as an actor, I could when you're doing a good television show, and it's going well, you don't want the party to end because hey, who doesn't like a steady paycheck? Who doesn't like a steady job? There's that aspect of it. And then when it comes to an end, sometimes you overdo it. They'll go too long. They'll have too many, and then the magic is gone. You know, so you want to keep the magic and the mystery there at all times. So when you end it off on a high note, that you can't pass that plateau, I think
Mm,
that's the gift in itself. Like, okay, we've
yeah.
done, it's done, it's packaged. You can't go anywhere. They had talked about maybe doing Big Wolf to college at one point after because we're all finishing high school, and mine
Wait,
over
yeah, you guys were a senior for like 3 years. Like,
seven,
even the Big
seven. I
Wolf
was
guys.
7 for us for 7 years. We were seniors at the school.
But even the character at the beginning of the show is, here's the beginning of senior year. I
Yeah,
am ready for school this year. And then he's bit by a wolf, and then like 60 episodes. I'm like, how long are
one
these
school year.
years, man? Yeah.
School year is what
Yeah.
180 days. So it's
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Yeah.
we didn't get to do the prom. We didn't get to do the I would have loved to be in the last episode. When they go to college and they're like, Tim's next door. Hey guys, I made it.
Aw.
But
Yeah.
it's okay. I mean, you know what? Watching the last episode, it was, and I finally saw it air. And I was on set the last day. I just went to say goodbyes to everybody.
That's amazing, man.
It was nice. Everyone hugged, shared a little tear, knowing that okay, this is it. You know, thanks for the laughs, thanks for the good time, thanks for the memories, and that was it. Next 25 years, it's gonna be 25 years, and I still remember those days. You know,
Well, I'm really
anybody
glad
was
that.
yeah,
Wow,
anybody.
I'm really glad that you well, everyone left kind of not bitter, but also it's really nice to see that you went to the sub voluntarily just because you had that connection, because that's something I do. Instead of being like, later losers, I'm going to LA and I'm going to, it's nice to know that you guys all ended as this unit, that you stayed for the entire 3 years, and I'm glad you did have a third season even though they're cutting the budget, as you're saying. I
Yeah.
mean, it's still great that there was a third season.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it was fantastic. No, the show. I mean, there's so many shows that they don't get that chance, like you said, in Canada to go the distance, to go to the end. And
Yeah,
when you get that chance finally, and you produce something like even now, like Transplant, that was filmed here in Montreal,
yeah,
they did 4 seasons. That's 4 seasons. Still
yeah.
nothing to sneeze at. Still 4 seasons.
Oh, is it done? The transplant, is it done
Yeah,
now?
after the fourth season,
Oh,
yeah,
that's too
they don't get
bad.
it.
My God, I was in a small scene in the
Okay.
first season where I
Oh, you were in
played
the
junkie.
scene? That's good.
Yeah, I was played junkie patient. It was
Okay.
literally said junkie patient. It was on the trailer.
Hey,
It's
man.
junkie patient. And what I do is I'm like lying on a bed, and she's trying to give me an intravenous, and I kind of pull it out, and my blood kind of splats her in the face. And
Okay.
I'm only on screen for like a few seconds. I got so many calls from friends I've had my entire life. Some friends I haven't seen in 20 years who are
Okay.
like, I saw you on the transplant. And I'm thinking, how bad did I look as a teen if you could recognize me under all that makeup,
Oh,
bruising,
come
and
on.
garbage? I'm like, and my mom, who usually is my biggest cheerleader, she's like, which one were you? And I'm like, the bloody one pulling his IV out. That happened
You
with
were
To
on
Catch a
TV?
Killer. We went to the cinema, my dad and everything, and my dad's like, "Which one were you?" I'm like, "Dad, they have a big close up on my big dead face. Come on."
Can't miss that
Anyway,
smile. Come on. You came in.
yeah.
Come on now.
Um, it's so not only Big Wolf on campus. I mean, I something true. Okay, sorry. I'm aware that this show, everyone's here to talk about you, but just for the sake of conversation,
Sure.
I have to finish that transplant story. It was
Yes.
the first season, and I was talking to the gentleman who plays the lead doctor, who had been working for years and years and years. And the topic we are having, the show hadn't even come out yet. Didn't know it was going to be a hit, anything. Everybody was working a lot there. Like in the first season, they're laser focused. And he's just like, hey, I've been working like, I think it's been 11, 12 years, and this happened, and I'm just like, I'm ready. Like he's like, I'm ready for this, but at the same time it's like, this is like, every audition, it's all come to this, and just I'm so happy what's happening. And
Mm.
when the show came out and it was such a hit, I remember what an awesome dude he is. Like what an amazing guy. Because here I am, I have one scene, I don't even have any lines, and here he is talking to me like anybody else is. It just seems to be on that show there was no like special table for the special people. It just seemed like everybody on the transplant, I could not give. They were so like effing nice, everybody, when I got on set. An incredibly great group of people. And 4 years, I am so proud that that show like hit so hard, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, those are
and-
I had that experience on Barkskins, man. When I
yeah.
did that show for National Geographic, working with David
Okay.
Thewlis, Michigan Harden. I mean, just sitting on set and we're just all chatting together, just like no problems. Everybody was just sharing their personal stories and their what have they gone through and projects they've done, and it's nice. And I hear you, I
Yeah.
understand exactly what you're saying. It's very nice to be on the same level all the time.
Yeah. I just sometimes I see things where I haven't experienced it too much per se, but I have seen situations where there always is, like, in high school, there's that table. You're not allowed to sit at that table.
Mm.
And it just seemed transplant. There was like literally there was no compartmentalizing people based on their importance to the set or whatever. It was all like, let's make a great TV show. So to all the directors, producers, and everybody on that set who treated me amazing that day, you didn't have to, but you did. So I'll always remember that. I was on I was in one episode of 19.2, and I did two scenes. And
Mm.
there's this guy on scene. Just before we bring up Letterkenny, I gotta say, there's this guy. I thought he was an amazing actor. He was so funny, and he was so nice to me. He was like asking me how I'm doing, everything. And I Google him, and I realized that I had just seen him a week before when I binge watched this hockey. Like, I don't like sports, but I love hockey movies and I love hockey TV shows. And he was in a show called Keep Your Head Up, the Don Cherry story as Don Cherry. And I watched two miniseries in a row, two-parted miniseries. So we're talking 9 hours of television. I found it was on Netflix, and I binged the entire thing. Could not stop watching it. And this guy was so great. And then I had to go back to the set and realize now I know it's him. Before I didn't. We're meeting like, hey, hey, hey. And then I have to go back, and I realize, like, we take a break, we go back, and I'm like, oh crap. Jerry Kiso's awesome. So, trying to play it cool. And then the second time we do the role or whatever, we do this funny thing. It's in a scene. I play this bum named Georgie where they wake me up, and I'm like, oh, the lights came on, blah, blah, blah. You could see it. You could see it, everybody. But getting to the point, we're driving back to the trailers that night, and once again, Jared, best guy in the world, he's like, yeah, so what you got going on? I'm like, oh, it's Christmas season. I'm probably going to play with my band or whatever and stuff. And what about you? He's like, I've been working on a comedy. I don't know. I'll see how it turns out. And that comedy was Letterkenny.
Yeah.
Now, if I could have handcuffed myself to the rocket ship of success that he was about to go on, I would have. But Letterkenny became Letterkenny, and it just each and every year got progressively bigger and bigger and bigger. People around the world, it's almost like Trailer Park Boys have a beloved export. Dude, you got to be part of this legacy. You got to be on a few episodes of
Yeah.
Letterkenny. Please take me into the world of how you got in there and everything about it.
Well, I had just come off a 5-year hiatus from acting.
Mm,
I had taken 5 years off, um, personal reasons, just that raise my kids. I have
yeah,
4 children, as you know, so I raised the kids. And Sandy took me on as a client. Our gracious,
amazing.
our gracious
Sandy Martinez, the best person ever.
stage
And
mother,
yeah,
took me on as a client, and my first audition was for 21 Thunder, and she gave me something like the same day that we gave our handshake to each other. And about 2 weeks after, I got an email for the show called Letterkenny, which I didn't know what it was. My sister knew about it. She's like, "Oh yeah, it's great." I'm like, I don't know. So she's like, "Watch it, watch it." So I watched an episode, and they also casting. They sent me an episode to watch, and it was to play a French guy from Quebec named Jean Pierre, and he was supposed to be like the French Squirrely Dan to K Trev, so I'm like, okay. So I did my audition with no reader. I did no reader. I was just saying the lines, pretend someone was talking to me, and we sent it in. And boom, I got a phone call from Sandy, and she's like, "You got it." And I'm like, "Okay." They're like, "Well, they're gonna fly you up." I'm like, "They're gonna what? They're gonna fly me up? Oh, this is a whole new experience now. I'm gonna be flying
yeah.
somewhere? What's
I'm
going
not
on?
driving myself and counting kilometers.
This is this is nice. This is nice. This is what it feels like. All right, good stuff."
Yeah.
That was my first gig back from taking a hiatus was Letterkenny, and I thank my lucky stars every day to be very fortunate to be part of that a nostalgic show from Canada that was produced here. So
Yeah.
we the trek up there. I'll tell you, that our getting up there was very difficult. It took 17 hours to get to Sudbury
Yeah.
because of the fact delays,
What's
fog,
funny
this,
is if you drove there, it would have been pretty much
eight,
17 hours too.
8, yeah, and then
Yeah.
no, it would have been eight and a half, 9 hours to drive up there. Like
It feels like 17, but whatever. Yeah.
so we finally got to Toronto, and then we drove the last 3.5 hours with the driver, and I got to the hotel at 11:30 at night, and I had to be on set for 6 a.m. the next day.
Wow.
No problem. We boom,
Yeah.
you get up, you're like, okay, coffee, let's go, let's do this. And got the set, and Jared was the first person that I saw. He's like, "Morning, hey, thanks for doing this." He goes, "I really appreciate you guys. You guys had a tough go coming in, but we're happy you're here." And we shook hands, and then I met Daryl. No, Daryl. I met Nathan, and then Michelle, and then K Trev, and then we met everybody. And what a great group of people. Just a
Amazing.
magic show to be on. The bantering back and forth of the Canadian, like just the way their speech, and the quick, and and here we come, les Québécois, les Hic.
Yeah.
Hey, bonjour, comment ça va? And it's you do your stereotype Québécois, just for the comedy part of it. But from what I
Mm.
was told from them, it was one of their most popular episodes. Was Les Hic was that what started off. So they're doing
Layhick.
Les Hic, yeah, and I'm doing 3 episodes. One episode in season 5, one in season 7, one in season 9. So it was no 3, 5, and 7. Sorry, one in season 3, season 5, season 7, and
That's amazing, man. To keep bringing it back to just get to visit that world. That must be so lovely.
it is quite something. I mean, and I'm very happy every time that phone rings and it's, "Hey, you got a job, you got a gig," and it's
Thing
I
is, if they
before,
call you back now for Letterkenny, like they'd have to explain that you lost the amount of weight is the amount of weight that is some humans. Like 150 pounds is nothing to
yeah,
sneeze at. That is,
no, and I feel I
no.
sleep better, and
Hmm.
um, I have more energy. Let's put it that way. I have a lot more energy to so I'm gonna put on to entertaining.
Yeah.
I'm gonna entertain people with my energy to make sure I'm here
Yeah.
for a long time, and make some great movies and TV series or whatever else I can do along the way. But yeah, that's okay. I know your screen goes in and out. It's okay. I get it, man.
No, it's a
Wrong
thing.
you
It's a thing. No,
feel.
it's when the camera gets bored. I can't help it. It's
Oh,
rude.
oh,
Yeah. Oh.
gee.
Dom, okay, here's a question from the audience. What do you think Tim Eckhart would be up to in 2023? I think still acquiring an education.
That, or you would be a security guard at like a school or a crossing guard.
Okay.
Well, something like that. In that, probably in that genre, I would think. Hey
Yeah.
kids, it's going. Yeah, you guys gonna cross? Let's go. Cross the street. Do it. And he probably pretend that he's still with his brother. And, oh, he's not here. Okay. Like that. What was that movie with Matt Damon and Greg Kinnear? They were the twins, the conjoined twins.
Oh, stuck on you.
Stuck on you. And then when they were separated,
Yeah.
he still thought he was there. They were trying to do the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's what Tim would be up to. I think not being around
Okay.
his brother. I think that's what it would be.
Well, where was it written that your brother went again? Because once again, I haven't seen season 3, and now I really want to.
Oh man, I think they said he went off to play football in college. Like
Oh,
he
okay.
graduated and I
Okay.
didn't. But
Okay.
how would he
But you know
graduate?
what's interesting too? I was watching season 1 expecting kind of a cliffhanger, and there
Mhm.
wasn't. But there
No.
was a cliffhanger in season 2. So maybe they used that to kind of incentivize. No, don't let down the fans. Let's see if Morden is still made of stone. Like
Hmm.
he's sacrificed himself, jumps in front of the werewolf dude to save him from Medusa and whatnot. And then they make a joke where they come back into the room and they're like, "Is your hair different?" Because everybody looks seriously different than
What
they
happened
did
was
in the
Brian
season
had his
previous.
hair completely
Yeah.
like and he dyed it blonde. It was on blonde streaks. Then over the
Okay.
all the hiatus, and he came back to work and like, your hair's different. He's like, yeah, we'll just write it in. So that's why they wrote that joke. And something wrong. You look different there, son. There.
That's great to acknowledge it, but just and then to throw it away. That's really
Yeah,
funny, considering the continuity that there are continuity clerks who gets paid a lot of money to make sure everything looks like
the
what it's
same.
supposed to in each scene. I gotta say, like every time I'm on screen, my hair is a weird animal. And the first thing I ever did was a show called Ascension. And I swear, like if they used different takes, my hair would be flopping on one side to the other just based on how much we were sweating in this really hot
Yeah.
like pharmacy. Anyway, John,
Yes, sir.
um, okay, everybody, if you still have some questions, I'm going to be checking out. Oh my goodness, look at this! Someone told Josh it's not even nice. I just want to say that this is one of the best channels on YouTube. Thank you for saying that because we unmonetized people who can't really lay claim to shows that they didn't create. Hence all the YTV stuff. We get paid in praise, so thank you very much. But Dom, I gotta say that it seems like your career is just beginning because you have done so much cool stuff. I'm not sure if you're allowed to mention a movie that you were in and then they didn't use a scene. Are you legally allowed to mention it?
Oh, Transformers.
Yeah, Transformers. I don't know. I'm kind of skating around
Okay.
it. I'm just
No. That's I can mention Transformers. Of course, that was a great experience because to sit in that chair that says Transformers on the back of it, and you're sitting down, you're like, oh my god, this is it.
Transformers Rise of the Beast to be more
Rise of the
specific.
Beast.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
That was in the original opening of Transformers: Rise of the Beast, and
And
the audition process was quite something. I mean, I had to self tape of me singing to the Onyx song "Slam." I remember that one, "Slam."
mm,
Eating lunch and rocking it out to Onyx.
yeah.
Then I got a director session with Stephen
Mm,
Cable Jr. I met him through Zoom, and I did the same thing for him, and I made him laugh, which is a good thing. And he's like, "Perfect, perfect. It was good, great. So we'll see you soon." And that was it. And I was like, "What does that mean? Like, we'll see you soon." And then I got the phone call saying, "Yeah, you got Transformers. You're going to be on Transformers." And I was actually the only actor on second unit. Which
hmm
was cool. So that opening, I did 10 days of filming. I was there for 10. Only 1 day of actual filming, 9 days of waiting to go on set. Because
Okay.
as we all know, the waiting process, there was all night shoots overnight, overnight. And it was a running gag. Like, well, you're not going to make it. There's no way you're going to make it to film today. And I'm like, we'll see. And we had like a little pool going. I'll bet you a lollipop if I go on set or not. And yeah, after the 9th day, 10th day came, we got the film and I did my scene. And it was basically, it was cool. I got to drive a bus. I mean, my stunt driver drove a bit of the bus, but I had to take a bit of a course with them. They put me in a bus driving course for a day, and I drove the bus in, and it's simulated rain and everything else. And I come down, and he's like, "You make up your own lines." He goes, "You don't have any scripted lines. Just say what comes to mind." So I'm like, jeez, it's raining. My wife's gonna kill me. I gotta go. Gotta take off. And I run to my car and get in my car. Well, late again. And that's the actual clip that they used, was late, last to leave again, I actually say.
Mm.
Well, the whole bit, and then I drive off and I see Optimus Prime, and that was it. The original opening was I was supposed to be getting off the bus, going to eat, and have, as I did the audition,
Mm.
get out to Onyx while the Decepticon and the Decepticon is battling the Transformer and the Autobot, and my bus was a Decepticon.
Mm.
It transforms.
Okay.
Transit. I
How
was.
deceptive.
So as I'm rocking out, they're battling it out. Then I turn around at the end and everything's destroyed, and I'm like, "What's happening? What's going on?" And that was one story that was trashed, that storyboard. And the other storyboard was I go in and I punch out. "Hey Larry, yeah, another long day." Punch out, and the whole building starts to shake around me, and it's gonna fall down. And then the wall cracks open. Oh man! Like, whoa, what is that? Like, and they're going at it. But then they're doing the car scene. And then they decided, Paramount decided that it was too dark of an opening because Optimus Prime kills everybody,
Okay.
throws the Hudson River, and then he sees the beacon of light,
Mm.
all Autobots, and everything else. And
Mm.
yeah, so my performance was put on the cutting room floor, but that doesn't matter. It happens to everybody. But like I said,
Mm.
that experience can never be taken away from me. I'll always have that forever.
Samantha is asking, what was Brandon Quinn like?
Great guy. Brandon is fantastic, funny. And I could still call him up today through his phone number person, but we chat through messages and that. And hey, B, how's
Put
it
in a
going?
good word for me.
Like, how you doing, buddy? And he's working on Magnolias, I think it's the Netflix show. He's on
Okay.
that, and he's on a few Hallmark movies, but he's doing all right. He's still going at it. If you're still working after 25 years on here and there, and you're still going, it's not a race; it's a marathon. You can do this job till as long as you're here, as long as you want to do it.
Yeah, it seems like there's more things to do. One of my favorite podcasters, Ralph Garman, was mentioning, before Friends, there was nothing really for just someone who was, not married to do on a sitcom or something. It was
Yeah.
either you play the kid, you play the dad, and the little middle part was always awkward. You're like,
Yeah.
you're the neighbor that didn't have their shit together. You're just, you know. So it just seems like it's a great time to be, not, you don't have to be 20 years old to have all the
Mm.
roles. You don't have to be 50 years old to have all the roles. There's a really cool sweet spot. And I don't know. I think you could play, if you dyed your beard a bit, I think you could play a teenager now because you look younger than you did back then. But
Oh, thanks.
I will ask for the audience. We talked about Brandon, but what was Danny Smith like? Because I think Danny Smith is a remarkable talent.
He is cool.
Watching
Yeah.
him, everything he did, there's a music. It's interesting. He's a musician because there's a musicality to his performance. There was a lot of layers, and there was a lot of moment structures. He would go down, he would go up, almost like Shakespearean meets rock star. It was very interesting.
Well, he was a musician also. He was in a band called the
Mm.
City Drive. They actually opened up for Aerosmith. I think it was in Hawaii. Was a few years after the show when he was going good with his band. But Danny's a cool cat. He very talented. He always made everybody laugh on set. Big heart. It was. One time him and Brandon, they bought champagne and oysters for one time after the show, just for, hey, come on down. And enjoy. Thank you very much. This is a thank you. It's those little things, those little touches sometimes that you don't have to, but they do it anyways. And
Hmm.
that defines a person. I mean, giving with their heart, always like being nice. And then, so that's my
Yeah.
take on Danny Smith. If you're watching, Danny, miss you, buddy. It's been a minute as well for that, but yeah, he was cool to work with.
That's amazing, bud. Okay, so we talked a lot about stuff. Do you have any before we go tonight? Do you have any advice for any like budding young actors? I know everybody always says this every Comic Con panel. They always are like, "Do you have any advice for actors?" But I think I think you have a really good head on your shoulders about this whole process. And frankly, I could use some good advice because I take every audition personally like a rejection, and I shouldn't, but I do. So what is your advice of people who are like not starting in the business, but how do you continue to be in the business?
Well, I mean, if you ask Sandy, I'm very hard on myself when it comes to auditions. I really
I'm
take
very
my
hard on you too. Every time you mess up, I send you a text with a disappointed emoji.
I know
None of this has happened, but please go on.
you do. I'm sorry
Yeah.
if I disappointed you. But no, like I have another, like I told you, I have an audition to do right after this. Or I mean, where I'm gotta get my creative cap on after. But to anybody, listen, I'm a worry wart as well. Every time I do an audition, it gets sent in. I ponder on it now. I'm like, oh man, did I send the right take? Was it the right one? But for anybody who wants to be an artist, like I said, if you can get up and you can do your audition and you do with everything you have and you take your time and read the material, try and create the inner character with what the casting gives you, and you do it to the best of your ability. You might not get it on the first shot, the second. It might take 100 tries until you get that one yes. But when you get that one yes, it's all worth it. All the other no's, it doesn't matter, because that one yes will turn into two yeses, three yeses, four yeses, and as years goes on, I mean, if you're working, you're doing. I did 4 projects this year, or I did I did one project, but it was a big one, and it can go on to something else. You never know, because you can be seen by a casting agent for a certain project, and you did great, but there was someone else that fit the role more, but doesn't mean that you didn't do a great job. They might think of you for another project that's coming up, saying, "Yeah, well, we're gonna have him or her come in to audition for this role because I remember from the last one how they performed on tape." So
Mhm.
it's a little bit of a waiting game, but I mean the end result is always, it's always the candy at the end. You get that spot, you beat out 100 people or you beat out 1,000 people, and that one yes makes all the no's go away, and that's what keeps me coming back. I mean, every character. Look, Transplant. Everyone that worked on that show was fantastic. I auditioned 20 times for Transplant. I didn't land one role. And it is frustrating, but I mean, there's a reason behind it. I may have talked my agent's ear off a little bit saying, I don't understand, I don't get it. But I mean, it's okay. It's all water under the bridge now. Everybody who got the roles deserved to receive those roles because they worked for it. And it's not
Mhm.
because I'm a terrible actor. I hope not. I mean, I'm hoping everyone's been lying to me this whole time, but just to be nice. But it's
Even
okay.
acting.
It makes
No,
me
I'm
keep
kidding.
moving.
Dude, Dom, you're amazing. You're incredible. Everybody knows this. You're even great when you said you didn't know what you're doing, playing like a one note bully, turning into the big lovable character that was half of TNT. It's you got it, kid. I don't know if anyone's ever told you it, but you got it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Rich, actually, that's funny because the only other person that's ever said that to me like that is Rich Eustace when I did Big Wolf. He actually
Okay.
said that line to me um, right after we started filming. And that was thank you. That brought back a nice memory. But thank you for saying that. I
Oh.
appreciate your words and everybody that's ever encouraged me over the years. My wife, my family, and my close friends. My manager, and yeah, I wouldn't trade it for the world. To this business is, it's either you love it or you hate it, and I love it, regardless if it's a one-liner or a full-blown movie or multi episodes. That doesn't matter. You take every role you do, and you do it to the best of your ability, and you do it with all your heart. And at the end, no one can take that away from you. It's yours for life.
Beautiful words from a beautiful man. Dominic, where can people find you on the interwebs?
Oh yeah, I'm all over. I got no, but I'm on Instagram. And I'm a real Dom De Rosa. I don't have a million followers, but it's not about followers. If you like my stuff, like it. If you don't, you don't. And that's it. I mean, I have my Twitter. Tweet. Or what's it called now? X. What's changed? I'm not up on the lingo.
Yeah.
It's X. Yeah, that's what it is.
Someday it'll be hashtag sign, but I don't know.
Dom De Rosa 79 on the X. And that's it. And my close friends, they see me on the Facebook, on the old Facebook or Meta. It's always evolving, all these platforms, but you can see me on the screen here and there. And if you see me in
Is
the
there any,
street, say hello.
is
Not a
is there
problem.
any project we had a question right here before we go? Is what's next for you, Dom? Is there any
Yeah,
project you're
I have
allowed to
a
talk about?
sure. I have a few projects coming up. I was just on TV for Avant le Crash season 2. I did a few episodes for that, and on the Hasselmania Forever. That was a good one to do. In January, I have a Portrait Robot season 3 coming on Illico in French. I
Hmm.
play a mean guy on that one. I can't tell you the character, but I
No,
no, I know
a
it's a
mean
stretch. I
guy.
know. Yeah, and there's a movie. I did an independent film earlier in the year, called Old Guys in Bed, written by Quebecer Jean-Pierre Bergeron. It's kind of a self-autobiography they did on his life, and I play a character named Doug in that one. And December 15th, you can see me in the 8th episode of Reacher. I'll be gracing
Dude, cool.
Prime. I did an episode of Reacher, and so the last episode of the second season, you can see me in that one. So that's what I got going on for now, and we'll see what comes up in 2024. Hopefully, some cool and new things. It would be, yeah. We'll see what comes out of this. We'll see. As the day goes on.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Thanks very much for watching. You, me, and YGV. Dom, stick around. I'm gonna give them the little outro, but I want to keep boosting your ego.
Oh,
That's
okay.
gonna say. It's like how someone's like negative reinforcement. Well, it's gonna be so positive reinforcement that you're gonna leave feeling both awkward and overwhelmed by how much positivity I'm gonna give you. But legendary actor Domenic De Rosa, incredible. One of those guys. Every time I'm around him, I turn into one of the good fellas because he's destined to be in a Martin Scorsese film. Like I'm putting that out there right now, universe. Like the world will make no sense until Domenic De Rosa is in a Martin Scorsese film in a good old gangster type picture. Anyway, thank you very much for watching You, Me, and YTV, everybody. We will be doing more episodes in this holiday season. We will be doing an episode of Santa Calls, or at least our version of it. We'll be having some old friends stopping by, and we're going to be doing more and more and more broadcasts. Thank you very much for everybody who's been watching us in the past years, who will be watching us this year. Sorry it's been so long since we've done an episode. But yeah, I don't know, life happens. And if you want to see this mug and hear this Muppety voice more often, I have a podcast with Jason Rockman called The Rockman Power Hour, where we talk to many rock stars, including members of Duran Duran, Corey Taylor from Slipknot, and recently this week, Gowan, Canadian rock icon Gowan. And we talked to him all about how he actually joined Styx, how he appeared in a film called Wolf Cop, and a bunch of other stuff. So please subscribe to that on YouTube and support myself and my other gig, because that gig has a sponsor, and sponsors like it when you have subscribers. So thank you very much for stopping by. It's been great to see you all and hear your comments, read this stuff. It's thank you. Thanks for all the love, literally in hard form, and I'll see you guys soon. Please follow us on Instagram, You, Me, and YTV, and You, Me, and YTV, of course, on Facebook and YouTube. Remember, we are paid in praise, so every comment is like a dollar bill down my shorts. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye.